So I did a previous video showing that if you don't catch your seed trays at certain times of the day, sometimes the heat can be overwhelming. Sometimes I do take the trays out of the greenhouse and put them outside. That doesn't necessarily mean that they are then stop or reduce the chances of having any sort of heat or water effects. The same thing goes if you were to take your trays and put them on the outside. So if you have some heat or wind or whatever it may be, the chances of water loss is just as normal as being inside a very hot cattle panel greenhouse. These trays get warm and they don't have any way of dissipating the heat into the ground as if they were planted inside the ground. So if it gets very warm on top but a foot underneath is cold, well then you have a sink for that heat to go downward. In trays, it has nowhere to go besides just heating itself up, kind of like a popcorn kernel. And when it heats itself up, it loses all of that water that's present in this little soil block here. So yes, you can lose in cattle panel greenhouses if you have small spaces that get hot very quickly, but the same sort of effects are also present outside. The heat may not be as intense, but it could be windy like it is today, or just general loss just because the water vapor can just easily leave because it's not in an isolated system, whatever it may be. So yes, you might have to move your trays around, but just because you move it around doesn't necessarily mean you'll reduce the risk from any sort of detrimental effects. You're always going to be challenged by these sorts of things. So yes, you do have to babysit at these early phases. Yes, you have to keep up with it. But once you get beyond those earlier phases, it tends to be a little less sensitive and easier to work with, or you don't have to pay attention to it as closely. So yes, you can move it out of hot spaces and put it into cooler spaces, but you still need to maintain the oversight of it, because if you don't, as in this case, I'll show you, if you don't, you're going to lose. In this case, I lost a lot of my Swiss shards. Some of them bounce back, were able to bounce back, but some of them just die, and at this stage, if they die, they are not coming back. So seed trays, keep up with them. They will be fruitful if you keep up with them. If not, they will die on you fairly quickly.